Seems like we may not be getting on live. Um, Good morning, everyone. Guess what? We're live. I want to first apologize. I don't know what's going on with Facebook, but we meant to do the Bible 101 class coming from 2nd Samuel 20th chapter, verses 7 through 13. But there was some issue with the live feed. I had scheduled it. It wouldn't go live. So we're going to do that for 10:30 a.m. And it's very important you listen to this one because it is definitely dealing with today's problem and what we're facing and what we're going to need to do. So again, that'll be the Bible 101 class at 10:30 a.m. coming from 2nd Samuel 20th chapter, verses 7 through 13. However, this is the International Sunday School lesson, and our International Sunday School lesson is coming from the book of Proverbs. We're still in Proverbs. Its title is Feast with Wisdom, coming from Proverbs chapter 9. It breaks down verses 1 through 6, 8 through 10, 13 through 18, but we're just going to cover chapter 9 in its entirety, verses 1 through 18. I believe that's the entirety of chapter 9. So that's what we'll be doing, covering those verses for the International Sunday School lesson today. Again, the title is Feast of Wisdom, coming from Proverbs chapter 9. So let's begin with prayer. Dear Heavenly Father God, we thank you for this opportunity you've given us, Lord, to study your word, to let that word go in our hearts that we might not sin against thee, that we can let our light shine, that men may see our good works and glorify you, the Father, which is in heaven. Thank God. Amen. Okay, so let's look at the first outline of the International Sunday School lesson. It's coming from, it says, Wisdom's Home, coming from verses 1 through 6. Again, we're going to go through the entirety, but I'm just breaking it down. But we'll complete every verse, including verse 7, which isn't in the lesson, and to verse 8 through 18. So, start with the way of wisdom. And I'm going to break it down, verses 1 through 12, the way of wisdom. Wisdom hath built her house. She hath hewed out her 7 pillars. She hath killed her beasts, and hath mingled her wine. She hath also furnished her table. She hath sent forth her maidens. She cried upon the highest places of the city. Whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. As for him that wanted understanding, she said to him, Come, eat of my bread, and drink of the wine which I mingle. Forsake the foolish, and live, and go in the way of understanding. He that reproveth a scorner getteth to himself shame. He that rebuketh a wicked man getteth himself a blot. Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. For by me thy days shall be multiplied, and the years of my life shall be increased. If thou be wise, thou shalt be wise for thyself, but if thou scornest, thou alone shalt bear it. So that was verses 1 through 12. So here we have wisdom. Again, wisdom is female, ancient Egyptian theology, God is Maat. Wisdom is the eye of God. Wisdom is the beginning. You have to read. Now, to understand everything regarding wisdom and the female, and I talked about, why the female is used of wisdom. Number one, the first person to give a child knowledge would be the mother, because the child is with the mother most of the time, and the first interaction is with the mother, and that first interaction of knowledge and wisdom is to what? Breastfeed, so the child knows nourishment. But however, if you go to chapter 8, verses, I believe, 22 through 36, it breaks down God's relationship with wisdom and then wisdom's relationship with man. And please read those verses before you get in depth in studying the Sunday school lesson. Actually, even if you don't do it before, it'll enlighten you to why wisdom is portrayed this way. So, wisdom has built a house. Remember, number 7 is complete. She is complete. She's built out a house. She's basically making a feast. She's killed the beast. And all these skills, architecture, building, having completeness of the 7 pillars, the foundation to hold up the structure, how to hunt, how to then dress the meat, how to make the wine and mix it. Remember, the word mingle here is mix, so it's just not wine you get straight off the vine. It's wine with a technique to it, with knowledge to it. And also, she's furnished the table. So she's furnished it and made it inviting to a person who wants wisdom, wants knowledge. So this is important we understand what this is giving off, beside more than an invitation to a house. It's also the knowledge that she brings for man to be in this position that she's offering. She sent forth her maidens. So remember, the maidens wait on the queen. This is a queen, okay? This is a queen. The maidens wait on the queen, and they gain wisdom and knowledge from the queen, and she sends them out. They go out. They become the, if you think of it in sort of the king, queen, and relationship, those maidens that are sent out from the queen that waits on the queen becomes married to the lords of the land. And so there's always a bond. So she's sending out wisdom, people who have knowledge, to bind with man. So she cried out upon the high places of the city, whoso is simple. Now, this word here is silly, foolish, simple. Let him turn hither. As for him that wanted understanding, she said to him, come eat the bread and drink of the wine which I've mingled. So one has to come to the house. This is the simple, the foolish. They have to turn around. They're going in the wrong direction. However, those with understanding, they're already in the house. Come, eat bread and drink the wine. They're already come into where wisdom is, and wisdom is ready to share. So, as we tell our children, stop what you're doing, turn around and think about it. Here, those who are wise were saying, sit down, I'm going to teach you how to do this, how to do that. So we see the two relationships here. Always go back to that old African proverb, he that knows not and knows not that he knows not is a fool, shun him. He that knows not and knows that he knows not is ignorant, teach him. He that knows not and, he that knows and knows not that he knows is asleep, wake him. But he that knows and knows that he knows is a wise man, follow him. So we have this relationship here. It goes on to verse 6, forsake the foolish. There are going to be people who come in your lives, they're still going to be silly and foolish. You're with that group, remember. She's telling the simple and foolish to turn. So everybody's not going to turn. They're going to hear the cry, they're not going to turn. And the foolish, he that knows not and knows not that he knows not, is just going to keep on going in that path of destruction. That's what wisdom is saying here. But his wisdom is speaking to, just as God says, before you were formed, I knew you. Speaking to that who he formed, who would hear his voice to turn. So, but the foolish, he says, forsake the foolish and live. Get away from them and live. Live here, from the Hebrew word, kawai, is literally and figuratively to keep alive. If you want to stay alive, to keep life. If you want to stay with life, to nourish, to preserve, to quicken, to recover, to repair, to restore, to revive, to save. So that word is deep. Koah. So that word is deep in Hebrew, and it means everything I just told you. So forsake the foolish and live. Preserve life. Save your life. Keep your life. And go in the way of understanding. Go in the way of knowledge. Go in the way of understanding perfectly. Verse 7. Now, verse 7 seems like it's broken off from context. However, I know some scholars and teachers and theologians say it's broken, but actually it's not, because if you look at verse 7 and 8, it kind of tells you where it's going with that. So it says, he that reproveth the scorner getteth himself shame. That's someone always mocking. They're not listening. They think they know it all. And if you are trying to, remember, you're turning toward wisdom, or you're going toward the house. If you're trying to make the scorner the mocker who's saying, man, I'm not listening. What does wisdom know? Get out of here. You're going to receive shame. And I just gave you an example how that is. And he that rebuketh the wicked. Now, this is a person that's totally wicked, totally perverse, will not change. You're going to get a blot. In other words, you're going to get hit. Because the wicked does not want to hear anything regarding coming to wisdom, or the knowledge of wisdom, or understanding. You're going to get them angry, and they're pretty much probably going to hit you. So you need to move on from those two types of people. Okay? A lot of this is a self-awareness that if you're going to seek something to better yourself, others are going to mock you, and others who have no intent of good is going to push you away. And it can even be physical. However, verse 8 explains what I just said. Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man. Now, this is someone who's wise, who is cunning, skillful, has knowledge and wisdom, and wants understanding. He will love thee. That person will love thee. So verse 7 sets up verse 8. And it continues with the wise person. Now, these are the persons who heard the calls of wisdom, heard those messengers who were sent out to come to wisdom. And where is the beginning of wisdom? The beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. So that's the first call. So it continues about the wise person. It says, give instruction to a wise man, and what's going to happen? He will get wiser. Teach a just man. Now, what's a just person? Those who follow the law, those who are righteous. Teach a just man, and he will increase. Now, increase means to exceed, to continue. Comes from Yasaf. Increase. Conceive again. Increase. Make what's short longer, to join together things. Increase in what? Learning. Mental instructions to remember. Okay? Increase in learning. Doctrine. Learning. The fear, we talked about fear. Remember, fear in the Hebrew word, yirah. Yirah is both phobia and reverence. And I always give you the example, it's what God will bless you with. And when God tells you how he's going to bless you, he always tells you, if you don't listen, what's going to happen to you. That's both reverence and fear, phobia. Now you have the phobia, of course, coming from the Greek word, which is frightful fear versus reverence. And it's two separate words in Greek. So here we have the fear of the Lord is the beginning of what? The beginning. What is the beginning? The origin, the opening. where it commences. Okay? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of what? Wisdom, skillfulness, how to act wisely. All right? Wisdom is the successful use of knowledge to have a favorable outcome. All right? So, you have the beginning of wisdom and the knowledge of the what? Holy is understanding. The knowledge of the holy. Those who are what? Sacred, separated unto God. That's what, holiness, sacred. Sacred to God. Man is sacred to God. He made man in his own image. Man turns away from holiness. Okay? He rejects being set apart and sacred. He was set apart from all the creation. How was man set apart from all the creation? Read everything in Genesis. God spoke it into existence. Let there be light. Let the firmament, let the water separate the land. He spoke everything into existence except for man and woman. He made man and woman in his own image. He breathed into the nostril. He formed man. That's the difference. That is why we should be holy, for God said, I am holy. Holy is understanding. Okay. For by thy days shall be what? You do these things. You keep yourself sacred and holy into understanding, wisdom, and knowledge. Your day is going to be multiplied. And the years of thy life shall be increased. You want to live long? Seek the wisdom of God. Keep yourself in the holiness of his understanding. You will multiply your days and your years, and your life shall be increased. Increase. More. To gather together. To join. To make longer. To proceed. To prolong. Again, yasaf, Hebrew word. If thou be wise, so this is condition. You condition the word. If thou be wise, thou shalt be wise for thyself. Okay, this is a personal relationship we have with both God and wisdom. So if thou be wise, thou shalt be wise for thyself. But if thou scornest, thou shalt what? Thou alone shalt bear it. Key verse is chapter 9, verse 12. If you be wise, remember, this is our personal relationship with God. God, who knowledge, power, love, to know of him. If we be wise to do these things, to learn of him, to be of him holy. If we be wise, you are being wise for yourself. But if you scorn us, you shall bear the opposite. Remember what I talked about? Fear in the Hebrew word is both phobia, fear, and reverence. Okay, our next outline is coming from verses 13 through 18. We're going to see the opposite of wisdom. Lady wisdom, opposite of that wisdom from a foolish woman. We have the wise queen that has invited you to the table. She showed that she is wise because she has hewed out the house. She has made the 7 pillars. She has killed the beast. She has dressed the beast. She has cooked the beast. She has spread out the table. Everything you want to be successful, she has already shown you she has. Okay? Now, I said something important because a lot of people think studying and learning makes you wise. No, the successful application of what you learned, what you studied, and how you successfully apply it to your life shows your wisdom. If it's not successful, you just, like they said, you're just an educated fool. That was what the old people used to say. You got all this book knowledge, but you keep doing dumb stuff. Well, you're not wise. You haven't successfully applied the wisdom and knowledge that you gained. So, and it will show between a wise person and a educated fool. All right. So now we go to the foolish woman. And that's going to be verses 13 through 18, which will be the end of the chapter. A foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple, and knoweth nothing. For she sitteth at the door of her house on a seat in the high places of the city, to call passengers who go right on their ways. Whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. And as for him that wanted understanding, she said to him, stolen waters are sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he knoweth not that the dead are there, and that her guests are in the depths of hell. Okay, a lot to unpack here. We have a contrast between the goddess queen and the foolish woman. Both are women. Both have a house. However, she's sitting at the high places. Now notice her house is not on the 7 pillars. She hasn't killed any beast. She hasn't dressed. She hasn't mingled any wine. She knows no knowledge. She's just going in the path. The first thing they said, she's clamorous. So she's going to be louder than the wise woman that's calling you. She's going to speak loud that you can hear it. Loud sounding. She's going to be tumultuous. She's going to rage war, moan, clamor. That comes from the Hebrew word yamah. She's going to be troubled. She's going to make trouble. Tumult, tumultuous, be in an uproar. She is foolish. I think there's a saying, never argue with a fool, because they have the expertise at that level. So she is foolish and simple, knowing nothing. For she sitteth at the door of her house. Yeah, she got a house. On a seat in the high places of the city. Now, this isn't a house she built out. It sounds like an apartment. Okay? In the high place in the city. To call passengers. Why is that word passengers? To call passengers. To get people to cross over. To convey over. This is coming from the Hebrew word yabar. To escape. To not follow what they need to do, but do what they want to do. That's the passenger she's calling, to go right on their ways. Whoso is simple, let him turn hither. If you're a fool, go ahead and follow her. And as for him that wanted understanding, now, the fool's just going to turn and go follow her. Now, those that want understanding, she's going to seduce you. She's going to trick you. She's going to smooth you. She's going to say, stolen waters are sweet. Go ahead, lie about this. Get that money, baby. You ain't got to do it the right way. Girl, you follow me. Bread eaten in secret is pleasant. Go ahead, make your plan, plot your strategy. Get what you want, because somebody else is going to take it. She's going to entice those of understanding with lies, with sweet pleasantries. But that person with understanding that's going to turn to her. But he that knoweth not. Remember I said he that knows not. And the ignorant. He that knows but knows not that he knows. The one that's asleep. If you keep walking that way, you're going to find in her house is the dead. And those who are the guests are in the depths of hell. Hell. Sheol, which means the grave hell, not the paradise. So that covers Proverbs chapter 9, verses 1 through 18. Again, Proverbs is an excellent book to not only enlighten your understanding, but also your children's understanding. I suggest you definitely have your children read Proverbs, go over it with them. It's the book of wisdom. It's the book of wisdom of God and understanding. It's the most ancient of these books, dating back to 2000 or 3000 BCE, the writings that God gave wisdom to Solomon to include in his book of Proverbs. So I just love just reading it. It gets me excited, as you can tell from this video. Have a great day. Have a great week. God bless you.